iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
First, to all three of you, it's such a beautiful film. Congratulations. It's one of my favorite musicals. So seeing it on film is such a wonderful experience. Jen, I'm going to start with you. Your run with Come From Away ended at the end of 2019. So what made you want to don the vest and the pilot's uniform one more time for the film version?
Are you kidding, SJ? I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I couldn't believe that I got the call to join them for this live capture, and I didn't hesitate for a moment in saying yes. I was delighted at the opportunity to join them and to finally put this thing out there in the world, and the fact that Apple is doing it for us, so we knew it would be done well. There was no way I could say no.
When the idea was first proposed to film Come From Away, what was your initial reaction?
I really felt like we needed an audience to tell this story because it's a musical that happens in a conversation with an audience. The actors are talking directly to the audience throughout. So I really wanted to know, could we have an audience? And I think we were the first audience back at a Broadway show when we shot this. So that was incredibly meaningful to us. And the emotion in the room, the first time back after a year of no theater on Broadway, was extraordinary and kind of blew the roof off the place.
This musical is about people coming together in the time of a crisis, and to be the first show to come back with everything we've gone through in the last 18 months, what has that meant to you and your cast?
Oh, it's huge because, the show is about inclusion and humanity and kindness to strangers. And so that we get to come back so soon, it feels like forever to me, but that's another story. But to come back at this time, at the time of the 20th anniversary of the tragedy of the attacks, it's profound that we get this message out there because, boy, do we really need it now, and not just because of 9/11. It's just what the whole world has been through. So it means so much to all of us, I think, to be a part of that.
And Katrina, walk me through the rehearsal process, the restaging. To take a musical and to put it on film, things have to change a little bit. So what was that process like of working with Christopher and Kelly on that restaging?
It was the whole experience was like going to summer camp. It really was. So we were all bubbled in one hotel together, and we rehearsed in one of the sort of conference rooms in the hotel. There unfortunately was a very large pillar in the middle of the room, so we spent a lot of time, and we have a stage that rotates, as you know. So we spent a lot of time sort of reconfiguring the room around the post. There's part of that I think was fantastic because it took a little bit of the pressure off. It was like, oh, the stupid post, it'll all be better when the post is gone. And of course it was instantly better when we were on stage. But they were lovely with us. And I think we all surprised ourselves at how much was still just there in the brain and the body as soon as we sat down and started we start at the beginning and go through. None of us are very good at picking up in the middle anywhere, but if we start at the beginning and go through, we generally are really great at getting to the end. And it was just joyful to revisit it all again. And it is like a reunion. Like it's like doing that show is like reuniting with the characters in that show and visiting old friends. So it was joyful every moment of it.
I think the thing I was most concerned about was, would we be able to sort of capture the velocity that they're moving, how fast they're moving, and how much it is we go from a very small scene to spread out. And would we feel that energy? Because sometimes when, the camera can sort of suck out some of the energy when it comes to dance and movement. But what was very cool was, Chris is just so great. He's such a good director. Like, he knew that to bring the camera in on intimate moments or small movement, and then he would just pull back so you get a wide feeling and see the whole sort of stage shift and transform. So it was just knowing when those moments were. And then honestly, I was really specific with our cats about, like, they had a cleaning of that choreography that like they've never had before, because it is so intricate. And the same way the camera can, suck it out, it could also get in so close and you see everything. So it was a very detailed cleaning session where every move was so sharp, just tight and as focused as possible.
So what was that moment like when you all walked back into the theater for the very first time to rehearse and to perform?
Oh man, tears, just absolute tears. Not only because of the pandemic, but because of what we all do. Is we were all meant to do this, right? We were all meant to perform, and to do it with this group of people in the way the family aspect is always present in the shows that you do. But by far, this is the most I've ever felt like a family in a cast in my entire life. We zoomed every Sunday, you know. I zoomed with other cast members, so I need them in my life. I know these people will be friends for the rest of my days. So coming back was literally a homecoming. And you know, the first time we sang through everything, we were a mess. We were an absolute mess. And I guarantee you, when we start on September 1st, we will be, or 21st rather, we will also be a mess.
I think everybody was really anxious about whether they would remember the show after the pause, and they really did. I mean, very quickly it was back in their bodies. And whenever they didn't remember something, it was interesting. You would be watching, like somebody would be passing quietly a sweater under the table because they had forgotten to pick it up. So they really took care of each other in those early rehearsals, which is very much in the spirit of Come From Away, a show about people being kind to each other. The rehearsals went very, very well and really gave us a chance to kind of deepen and reconnect with both the truth of the story and all of the power of the music.
It was so incredible. You know, we weren't in the bubble with our actors because there was no reason they needed the writers there cheering them on, although we were doing it virtually and watching all the feeds. But to be there in the audience and with the audience lined up outside on the way into the Schoenfeld as the actors came through on their first day back, we cheered for them. Everyone cheered so loudly, and everyone was in tears. The actors all burst into tears, and then within the theater, you know, it was a limited audience because of the pandemic, just to be safe, but also because they had to fit in all of the cameras everywhere and all of the equipment. And so it was a smaller audience, but the sound in that room from people who were just desperate to get back to theater, desperate to see this show that they loved, including us, and then also first responders and people who had never seen the show. It just blew the roof off the place. It was so good. Everyone, you know, the actors were looking back at it, like everyone just wanted to hug each other, and it was so good to be back in that show. It was an incredible experience.
It felt like coming home. It felt like we'd never left. I think that's what was sort of amazing to me is that we just got back to the theater. It's like we've been doing this every day, every week, every year, and we've all logged so many hours and so many cities of Come From Away together that this just felt like the next exciting adventure that we were going to have with the piece. But it was sort of stunning to me how within 5 to 10 minutes, it's like, oh, right, we're in tech, we're doing what we do. And yes, there were cameras, but it's still a theatrical show. And we were very much committed to the theatricality of it. And the whole communal experience that the show is retained itself. So it was great.
You're about to have viewers take in a Broadway musical, sometime, maybe even for the first time, that they've never been able to walk into a Broadway theater or a national theater. What does that mean to you as a performer to introduce musical theater to a new generation with Come From Away?
It's huge. I almost can't even fully process the fact that I don't even know how many people are actually going to be watching this, but it's a lot more than I could even guess. And it's thrilling. I think about it in the same way Delon was saying he thinks about it. I grew up watching the DVD of the original cast of Sunday in the Park with George, Into the Woods, and those people are legends to me. They're legendary, and the fact that we are the chosen few that get to be sort of the face of this story across the world is it's too much to really consider. I'll start crying if I talk about it too much. It's the honor of a lifetime. It really is.
Why was Come From Away the perfect show to be the first show back for live capture?
Well, I mean, I think that that's just it. Come From Away. We talk about the kindness and compassion in the face of adversity and coming together as community, just like you said. And I think that I honestly cannot think of a better show for people to sit down and watch it in this, you know, global moment. And that's why I'm just so glad that it's going to be on Apple TV all over the world. This not everybody can make it to New York City or Toronto or, you know, in Australia where they're doing it. And so it's super exciting to me that this is going to be as widespread because I just feel like after people watch the show. They're just better for having watched it, and it makes my heart explode to think that this many people are going to get to see it.
And this is for both of you. You know, we talk about Come From Away is not necessarily a 9/11 musical, it's a 9/12 musical. And with the fact that it's now going to be on Apple TV, what do you both want the lasting legacy of Come From Away to be? And Irene, we'll start with you.
You know, you have a choice of how to respond in situations. Like, terrible things are going to happen. You know, that's just a part of life. And sometimes things are, human-led terrible things, which is sometimes harder than like natural disasters. I mean, I don't know which is worse, really. But the thing is you have a choice about how to respond, and you can respond with kindness, and you can, acknowledge that there's fear and that you need to protect yourself, but also reach out to people and take care of each other, and as a community deal with whatever's coming your way.
And David, same question to you.
I think there's never a bad time to tell a story about people being good to one another. But I think the more that we can celebrate those stories, seek them out and share them, and celebrate the people who are being good in the world right now, I think, the reason Come From Away exists is because Newfoundlanders taught each other that during a hard winter, if you have some food and your neighbor has none, you share it with them. And that's just what you do. That's just what people do. And they still say that what they did wasn't extraordinary. It was just ordinary. And I think the more stories we tell like this, the more it becomes ordinary and the better the world can be.
I mean, I hope that the legacy is that we need, when faced with challenges and trying times, we need to come together, and like that we are only as good as our collective humanity. And I just think this show is a constant reminder of the power of community and that idea of just we are all people in this together, doing our best and being there for each other.
The really beautiful thing about this story is that the reaction of this town was so special and so effortless for them, and dealing with a really horrible catastrophe. And we're in the middle of something that's really hard for the whole world right now. And I think that same attitude, that same kindness, that same generosity, reaching out to, somebody that needs help is so important. It's so timely. So it's just like reframing the same great thing that they did is just as necessary now as it was then, if not more right now.
So that was such a terrible day, 9/11. I was in New York on first day of rehearsal on a show that day. And I don't think the show, it doesn't fix that. It doesn't heal that, but it gives us another story to put alongside it, and a story of people being kind to each other and generous, and helping each other out. And I think we're once again in such a difficult moment in the world. And I do think the way we're going to get out of it is by taking care of each other.
And Jen, last question to you. With this musical being on Apple TV, you're about to introduce a new generation to musical theater, quite possibly. As a cast, what does that mean to you to get musical theater out there to the world, to new viewers?
It means the world. That's exactly our hope, is that this will spark even more interest in people celebrating theater, supporting theater, becoming theater artists, becoming supporters of the arts. There's a renaissance of arts happening right now, and we need it. And we think we realize, having had the arts taken away from us, just how much it helps us heal and to build these communities around the world. So hopefully it will bring more and more people to the theater. I cannot wait for that.
Wow, it's huge. It's so huge. I mean, we, you grow up watching these movie musicals on, all Chicago was one I think I remember seeing in the theater like 5 different times, right? I got goosebumps. I am now a part of that legacy. Kids are gonna watch my big face growing up, being like, "Oh, Delon can do it," right? And there just aren't that many examples of people that look like me doing it, right? So I think that is also part of the legacy that is super significant, and I take and relish.
It's a beautiful, beautiful tribute to your show. So congratulations to all three of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll hopefully see you in the theater soon.
Yay, yes.
I hope so.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.